Good evening. Good evening, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Kernersville Board of Aldermen. This meeting is held live on Tuesday, October 6th at 7 p.m. We will begin this evening with an invocation. And for the invocation, we are honored to be joined by Reverend Dr. Stephen Martin at First Baptist Church. So he will be coming up to deliver the invocation for us. And we really appreciate his joining us and helping us with this evening. Welcome, Reverend Martin. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I probably, before we pray, I just would like to say a word of thank you to the Aldermen, to you, Dawn, for what I know has had to have been a very challenging, if not difficult time. Probably people don't say thank you enough, but you guys have held us together through a challenging experience. You're continuing to remain strong, and I just wanted to say thank you for your great leadership. So let's pray. Our gracious and everlasting God, we pause at the end of a beautiful day, awed with the splendor and wonder of your created world. We are reminded of a timeless truth that for every season there is a time, and a time for every purpose. This time is especially challenging. But we also hold to the same truth that perseverance produces strength, and strength virtue, and virtue hope. Be with us as we continue to embark upon this challenging time, and may we look to it as a time of opportunity to strengthen our walk, to reclaim the gift of encouragement, to embrace ourselves with the spirit of hope. May this be our goal, our vision, and our prayer this day. For we pray these things in your gracious and holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Martin. All right, next on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, so here we are in October, and we're in back to school time. And so our first item on the agenda is a visit by Rusty Hall of the Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools. Rusty is the area superintendent of the part of the school district that includes Kernersville for all grade levels of the schools. So we'd like to welcome you, Rusty. Thank you for joining us this evening, and we're interested in what you have to say.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. I want to thank you, Mayor Morgan and Mr. Swisher, for meeting with me earlier in the year, and thank you to the Aldermen for letting me just have a few moments of your time. I know you've got a packed agenda tonight. As Mayor Morgan said, my name is Rusty Hall. Officially, if you're looking at the screen, it's Benjamin Hall, but I go by Rusty. And we're excited. Over the summer, we reorganized our support for schools and went to an area model. And so I am privileged, proud, excited to take over the east area of our district, which does include Kernersville. And so I'm excited to support all of the schools, the community, the parents, the elected officials in this area in Kernersville. One of the great things about this model and why I want to get in front of you guys today is I want to be a conduit between the work that you do and the work that we do. One of the great things about Kernersville is the quality of schools. And I know as leaders looking to bring businesses and different things to an area, schools are very important. And so it's my goal to push our schools, to push our principals, to push our leaders to have the best schools possible. And I want you to know that if you anytime you have questions or concerns or just want to talk about school business in general, I am available, and that's what I'm here for. I want to be your connection to the work that we're doing in the schools. And as we all know, because we're sitting here tonight virtually, it has not been a typical opening of a school year. And many parents out there have done an amazing job supporting our schools, supporting their kids as we've started this school year remotely. And so while it's brought the challenges, I have been very impressed with the work of our school leaders, and especially those unsung heroes, our teachers. They have done an amazing job adapting to this new normal, a phrase I'm trying to get away from because it's been saying it for 6 months and we're still going down that road. But we're excited and as our school board voted last week to start moving into phase our Plan B, and we're excited helping schools get together and work on their plans. And so while this hasn't been a typical start, I think it's been a great start. Our schools are doing well, and I want to echo the sentiment from Reverend Martin that we appreciate your leadership and your support for the school and our school district as we continue to move forward, even during these times. And so my hope is sooner than later, I'll get a chance to meet each one of you personally in face to face. But Mr. Swisher and Mayor Morgan have my contact information, and I hope that anytime you have questions or want to know something, I want to be your contact. So I am excited. I was I was married into the Kernersville family as my wife's family. Staple there in Kernersville. My wife and her siblings went to East, and my mother-in-law was a teacher at Kernersville Elementary. So I'm excited to be back in this area. Excited for what that means for our schools, what that means for you guys, and all the success that I know we're going to have. So I know you've got a packed agenda, but I wanted to introduce myself to you all and let you know that I'm here to make Kernersville even better than it is now. It's a great place, but want to make sure our education in the area matches the greatness of the city. So thank you, Mayor Morgan, Aldermen, for allowing me to speak tonight.
Thank you again for joining us this evening. Keith also, I think, has all your contact information. I gave it to him. Keith, if you could send that out to the aldermen so they will have it.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did anyone have any questions of Rusty while he's here? And I think just to add to your comments, a shout out of appreciation to all the grandparents and family, friends, and that sort of thing that are helping with the school day of children. So it's been a great teamwork. So thank you for all you're doing.
It has. It's been great to see our community come together, and not just family members, but our centers, the YMCA, all of the folks that are coming out to help our students who need some extra support. So, you know, we can't do it alone, and we appreciate all the help that folks outside of the education system have provided.
And especially to our police chief, Tim Summers, and the SROs who have helped in support of the various activities of the school system this year. We appreciate their involvement as well. Thank you. All right, so that's the best part of the agenda, right? No, just kidding. We're to the public hearings. That's great too. But it was nice to have a visit from Rusty Hall. The schools are so important to us, and so much is going on with the schools that it's nice to hear directly from the area superintendent, which is new. The superintendent it brought that to the district, so that is liaison for us for contact with the schools that she's been planning for quite some time, that got a little bit delayed with everything that happened with the school system this spring. So we're back on track and ready to roll. All right, so we're to the public hearings.
Do
When
we
an
need
agenda
to-
item is,
Do we need to do a roll call
oh yeah,
attendance?
let's go ahead. That'd be fine. Have we got everybody? I see a lot of dark cameras. Is everybody ready? Let's see. Alderman Chris Thompson was not able to attend the meeting tonight for personal reasons. And we're going to echo tonight, I think, because of all the microphones, but we'll do our best. All right, we'll do a roll call of everyone. Mayor Pro Tem Jenny Fulton.
Present, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Joe Penix.
Present.
Thank you. Alderman Kenny Cruz.
Present, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Bruce Boyer.
Present, thank you.
Thank you. All right, and the staff on the call, we have our town manager, Curtis Swisher.
Present, thank you.
Thank you. We've got our HR director, Crystal Tanner.
She's in the courtroom.
Thank you. We've got our IT director, Adam Hutchins, gave the pledge for us this evening. Thank you for that. Community Development Director, Jeff Hatling.
Thank you.
Thank you. Franz Ader.
Present, thank you.
Thank you. Doran Maltba.
Present.
Thank you. Is Rochelle on the call tonight?
She is not.
Okay. We've got Fire Rescue Chief Alderman.
Good evening, present.
Thank you. Our Police Chief Tim Summers
She's
is in the courtroom. All right. Our Town Attorney John Wolf.
Present, Mayor.
Thank you. Our Town Clerk Keith Hooker.
Present.
Thank you. Our Parks and Rec Director Ernie Pages.
Present, thank you.
Thank you. And is there anyone else on the call that I'm missing? We have a few citizens calling in. I saw Rachel Nilsson, our presenter on the Parks and Rec plan. Are William Moser and David Webb also presenting, or are they calling in?
Rachel's here and Bill Moser is with me as well.
Okay. And I see David Webb. Are you speaking on a case, Mr. Webb, or are you also on the agenda?
Mr. Webb's on deck for the annexation.
Okay, perfect. All right, Curtis, is there anyone else in the courtroom that we need to include?
No staff members. We have members from the chamber are here.
Okay. All right, perfect. All right, so the first order of business is the public hearings. When an agenda item is denoted as a public hearing, persons attending shall be permitted to address the Board of Aldermen regarding the item under consideration, those speaking in favor, speaking first, and those against, speaking second. Proponents and opponents shall each be given 20 minutes of time to speak and may choose to allow one speaker to utilize that time or choose to allocate the time among different speakers. In the event that either proponents or opponents have not designated speaker or speakers to represent that view, the mayor shall divide the 20 minutes by the number of speakers wishing to address the Board of Aldermen, and each such speaker shall be allowed that given time within which to express his or her comments, ideas, concerns, expressions, and desires. After the opponents speak, the mayor will allow the proponents 5 minutes for rebuttal. If the proponents choose to exercise this option, the opponents will also have 5 minutes for rebuttal. In the event that the proponents do not present a rebuttal, then the opponents shall be given no further time to speak. Public comments on the public hearing items were, and actually on all agenda items, were accepted by the board in advance of the meeting. If you'd like to speak to the public hearing items, you can come in person to Town Hall. You can call in. The phone number is on the agenda, which is on our website, but it is 336-996-7289. That's 336-996-7289. And you may still send in written comments to khooker@toknc.com no later than 24 hours after the public hearing is held. Okay, So that's the rules for the public hearings. They are printed on the agenda. The agenda is on the Town of Kernersville's website under agenda items. So we've got item 1A. It's a public hearing on an annexation, voluntary contiguous annexation petition by Averitt Properties, Inc. for property located at 214 and 216 South Bunker Hill Road, containing 1.292 acres more or less. And then we also have a public hearing on rezoning, which is item B. David Webb, agent for owner, petitioner request to general use district rezoning from GC, this is Guilford County, RS40 to KV, Kernersville, business industrial for property located at 214 and 216 South Bunker Hill Road, with the PIN numbers as listed on the agenda, containing 1.29 plus or minus acres. And this is zoning docket K783. All right, I'll recognize Mr. Hatling, our Community Development Director.
Thank you, Mayor Morgan. I now will switch to the screen.
Okay, thank you.
As described tonight, there's two public hearings. I'll cover both of them. There's a proposed annexation and a general use rezoning off South Bunker Hill. These are two small parcels that Averitt Trucking has purchased, 214, 216 South Bunker Hill. Total acres is 1.3. Staff is recommending approval of the annexation. Regarding the zoning, the planning board and staff are recommending the following motion: move to amend the zoning ordinance of the town by rezoning the property in case K783 from Guilford County RS40 to Kernersville business industrial. The said rezoning being consistent with the town's comprehensive plan and further being both reasonable and in public interest because the Kernersville development plan, land use plan recommends this area for businesses. Business industrial has enhanced design and site plan standards. And thirdly, road improvements have been completed for this area to support economic development. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Mayor, may I ask Mr. Hatling the question?
Sure, go right ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Hatling, just a quick question. When we take it from Guilford County and bring it into the town, do we notify them?
Yes, it's not Guilford County.
Right. Isn't that what this is coming from?
Yeah, we do not. The notification goes out to the adjacent property owners.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Jeff.
We do, just one other thing on that follow-up. We do have annexation agreements with Greensboro and High Point. In certain areas, we do send notices to those jurisdictions. And so a notice was sent to Greensboro and High Point.
So is this Greensboro or Guilford County?
This is Guilford County, but
Are we going to notify them?
yes, after annexation takes place, we send notices to all the governmental entities so they can update their records.
Okay, thank you.
And it will still remain in Guilford County. It'll just be in the Kernersville town limits at that time.
I'm just curious to know when you see it.
Yeah.
Jenny, do you have any further questions about why the zoning is changing to Kernersville zoning as proposed? I mean,
No, I'm good. I know they're expanding. So I just wanted to make sure we were being good neighbors, so that's why I asked. I'm good, Mayor. Thank you.
okay. All right. Alderman Penix, Alderman Cruz, do either of you have questions with Mr. Hatling at this time?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Boyer, do you have a question at this time?
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This is a public hearing. I declare the public hearing open. And this is a public hearing on the annexation. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? Mr. Webb?
Yes, thank you for your time tonight. I represent Everett Express and Everett Properties specifically. We purchased a piece of property and have already developed it within the Triad Industrial Park. These two parcels we owned on 3 sides, and we were able to purchase these homes from the owners, and it seemed only proper to get them and bring them into the same parcel. That's the ultimate goal.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in well, we still got more time. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of the annexation? Mr. Swisher, is there anyone who's called in or anyone else in the courtroom who'd like to speak in favor of the annexation?
There's no one in the. I do not think anyone's called in.
That's correct. No one is calling.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there anyone to speak in opposition? There's no one in the courtroom. There's no one who's called in to speak in opposition.
Oh, ma'am.
All right, I'll declare the public hearing closed. As to the annexation, we, since this is a remote meeting, we actually cannot vote on it tonight. We'll have to set a time 24 hours from this the close of this public hearing. So at least 24 hours from, if the clock on my computer is correct, 7:24 p.m. tonight to vote on it. Alderman Boyer, did you have a proposal of when we should meet again?
I was suggesting Thursday. We typically allow 2 days, even though we only need to allow 1. I would suggest 4 p.m. in the afternoon, but I wanted to check that with others. On Thursday, the 8th.
Mayor Pro Tem Fulton, does that work for your schedule?
Yes, ma'am.
Alderman Penix, does that work for your schedule?
Yes, ma'am.
Alderman Cruz, does that work for your schedule?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so maybe we should do a motion and go ahead and continue the vote.
Okay, I'll be glad to make the motion that we continue this public hearing item until Thursday, October 8th at 4 p.m.
Okay, I have a motion by Alderman Boyer. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Alderman Kenny Cruz. We'll do a roll call vote. Are you in favor or opposed, Mayor Pro Tem Fulton?
In favor for continuing.
Thank you. Alderman Penix?
In favor.
Thank you. Alderman Boyer?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Cruz?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the vote on this is continued to Thursday, 10/8 at 4 p.m. So Keith, when will you need the public comments in order to get it to the board?
Probably by noon on Thursday.
Okay, so we need all public comments submitted to Keith Hooker, which is K Hooker, KHOOKER at toknc.com by noon on Thursday the 8th. If you'd like to be heard on this public hearing case prior to the vote. All right, that takes us to item B. This is a public hearing. I'll declare the public hearing open. This is the general use district rezoning from GCRS 40 to KV Business Industrial for the same property located at 214 and 216 South Bunker Hill Road, zoning docket 83. We've already had the presentation on this by Mr. Hatling, our Community Development Director. Mr. Webb, would you like to speak in favor?
Again, I appreciate your time with this. What will eventually happen with this property, we will just include it into our parcel, bring our landscaping out to the roadside, and clear it off to grass right now. It may eventually be phased into additional parking for our operational facility, but other than that, we don't intend on building anything on the roadside. We just wanted to include those pieces and have a contiguous line that went all the way down the street.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in favor of the rezoning? Curtis, has anyone joined us in the courtroom?
No, ma'am.
Adam, has anyone else joined us online?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Again, we will not be able to vote on this tonight because this is a remote meeting. At the moment, though, do any of the aldermen have any questions, either of Mr. Webb or Mr. Hatling? Mayor Pro Tem Fulton?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Penix?
No, ma'am.
Alderman Cruz?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Boyer?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. Shall we have a motion to continue this to the same day and time?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, a motion by Alderman Boyer to continue this to Thursday, October 8th at 4 p.m. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I think that was Kenny Cruz with the second. Oh, it was Joe Penix with the second. Alderman.
Joe
Okay.
got it.
All right. Motion by Alderman Boyer, second by Alderman Penix. We'll do a roll call vote. And this isn't on the merits, this is on the continuance. Mayor Pro Tem Fulton, how do you vote?
In favor. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Penix, how do you vote?
In favor.
Thank you. Alderman Cruz?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Boyer?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Mr. Webb. We appreciate you joining the meeting and the information you provided, and we will reconvene again Thursday for the vote on it. The public hearing's closed, so we will not be taking further comment, except for comments that are emailed in to Mr. Hooker. All right, we will go on then. If there's nothing further on agenda item A and B, we'll continue on to item C. It is a public hearing rezoning. Charles and Joy Beavers, owner, petition requesting a two-phase special use district rezoning from limited industrial special use district for property located at 1118 and 1120 Snowbridge Lane, with the PIN numbers listed on the agenda containing 2.13 plus or minus acres. This is zoning docket K650 A2, and I'll recognize Mr. Hatling.
Thank you, Mayor Morgan. On the screen is the presentation as described. This is a rezoning off Snowbridge Lane. This is a rezoning from limited industrial special use two-phase to limited industrial special use two-phase. There's currently two buildings on this 2.13 acres that received earlier site plan approval. The proposed purpose of the rezoning is to add the following uses. The request has been made for motor vehicle repair and maintenance, motor vehicle storage yard, recycling center, testing and research laboratory, parking commercial, and transmission tower. The planning board and staff, after conducting a public hearing, made the following recommendations. Approval of the following motions. There's been some previous uses that already exist. I'll just read the ones that are being proposed tonight, recommended by the planning board staff. Motor vehicle repair and maintenance, with the condition shall only be allowed in the rear building, and the parking shall be screened from Snowbridge Lane. The second use recommended with a condition, parking commercial, with a condition shall be screened from Snowbridge Lane. In addition, testing and research lab, with the condition shall only take place inside the building. And lastly, transmission tower, which would require a final development plan review and approval by the planning board. So the planning board and staff is recommending those additional uses in addition to the uses already approved. We have to answer any questions.
Mayor, Matt, ask Jeff a question.
Go ahead.
Jeff or Mr. Hatling, so they're going to be able to store like motorhomes or RVs. I was looking back and doing some history. Have we fined them before for this on the property?
Currently, they have a notice of violation. They have a motor vehicle repair and maintenance operation currently being conducted. They have a notice of violation pending this rezoning outcome.
Okay, so if they're under a notice of violation, if this were to pass, then that violation would go away and they would be okay, correct?
Correct.
But if it didn't pass, they would still be under violation.
Yes, then they would be given notice to vacate the premise.
Okay, and we are not going to allow any recycling on this piece of property, correct?
Correct. Staff and planning board did not feel it would adequate site for that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Jeff.
All right, this is a public hearing. I'll declare the public hearing open. Is there anyone here to speak in favor?
There's no one in the courtroom.
Okay. Mr. Hutchins, is there anyone who has called in?
No one has called in, ma'am.
Okay. So that answers the question. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? There's no one in the courtroom and no one has called in. All right, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Are there further questions for Mr. Hatling? Okay, do I have a motion to continue this?
I'm on a roll. I'll make the motion to continue this to Thursday at 4 p.m.
All right, motion by Alderman Boyer. Do I have a second?
I'll second it. Thank you.
Second, thank you. Second by Alderman Kenny Cruz. Mayor Pro Tem Fulton.
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Penix.
In favor.
Thank you. Alderman Cruz.
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Boyer.
In favor, and I also thank you.
Thank you. All right. Again, if you have a comment and you did not call in or did not come in to the courtroom to speak to it, you may send a written comment to khooker@toknc.com. The board has extended it to Thursday at noon on October 8th as the deadline. That'll give the town clerk adequate time to put the comments on the Town of Kernersville website and transmit them to the aldermen. All right, the next item is our public session. We have item 2A, speakers from the floor. Is there anyone in the courtroom to speak as a speaker from the floor?
No, ma'am.
Is there anyone who's called in to speak?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. We'll move on then to 2B, discussion and consideration of the Kernersville Community Recreation Center Plan. And I will recognize Rachel Nilsson.
Thank you, Mayor and Alderman. Adam, are you able to allow me to present my screen? Okay. I think you should be able to see my screen right now. Thank you again for allowing me to present here. We've been working on this project over the last almost year with the city staff and are really excited to show you our findings. My name is Rachel Nilsson. I'm with CPL. I'm project manager and architect. On the phone I'm presenting with me today is Bill Moser, also with CPL. The remainder of our team is shown up on the screen here. We work closely with Harold Owen, with Mark Reeves, Kurt Pfeiffer, and Ernie Pages of the town of Kernersville. Our process was to go through a community engagement process, to then move into programming, looking at the spaces in the building, conceptual design, site design, and master planning, and then move into financial modeling. I'll take you through that process today. The vision for Kernersville Parks and Recreation is for Kernersville to become a desirable community and increase quality of life through innovative programming, cultural events, and providing aesthetic and safe facilities. They have a variety of programs that they currently offer in their space, some of which are shown on the screen above. Our community engagement process started in December of 2019 and moved through about February of this year. We engaged over 55 focus group participants within 6 different focus group meetings. We had 2 general public engagement sessions, 2 interactive kiosks, and over 447 kiosk voters. We received a variety of input from a very diverse group of all different ages and backgrounds through these different sessions. Some of the input that we got is shown above, that we got in our kiosk voting, and some of our write-in comments as well. Indoor pool being a high priority for some people in the community, a ninja course and indoor basketball facilities, going down to all different types of spaces and activities that could be provided within this facility. Also during the process, I do want to note that our team visited 3 different local parks and recreation facilities, one in Greensboro, a YMCA that offers a variety of different programs, one in the city of Mebane, and one in Rock Hill, South Carolina, to understand what those communities offered and to take away from that what could potentially be offered here in Kernersville. When we looked at the programming, that helped us, what we gathered from the engagement was a prioritization of the types of spaces and programming that was needed within this facility. We looked at the spaces that were offered. We looked at the quantity, the size of those spaces. We then put that information together and came up with a floor plan, a proposed floor plan. So what we're showing here is 3 total basketball courts, 2 that are together in one space and 1 that's separate as a competition style court. A couple of different fitness rooms, a stage to offer flexibility of programs, administration spaces for the Parks and Recreation staff, and multi-purpose rooms and classrooms to support the variety of programming that the Parks and Rec Department already offers. Upstairs, a walking track really serves the community even more and especially reaches out to some more of your senior population. Also allows for, there's some activity space that can provide for additional programming off of that track. The master plan that was previously done by Withers Ravenel, so we looked at that and we assessed that in terms of where this facility was going to go and how the phasing of that master plan worked overall. So we actually, turning that sideways a little bit, we actually proposed this facility to be located up front, right on Shields Road at the corner of Shields and Beeson. What that allows is for better visibility of the facility and better entrance and exit to the facility from the public, as opposed to coming all the way back through to the back of the site. So when you have larger events happening, easier traffic patterns around the site. You'll note on our proposed site plan that we offer future expansion opportunities for parking. We've shown a rerouting of that cross-country course, understanding how important that cross-country course is. A one-way drop-off loop for bus parking to bring those through, and then expansion of the facility, which I'll tie into later. So again, facility expansion allows for, we want to plan for the expansion of 3 additional basketball courts on the site and make sure that the location of this building and the parking and all that accommodated that need in the future. Design-wise, we wanted to make sure that the architecture spoke the same language as that in the historic downtown area, bringing a lot of natural light into the building, but also tying back to the historic architecture that Kernersville has and making it be a part of that single town feel. We have a dedicated point of entry to be able to safely bring everyone through the facility. We have a large, open, and welcoming lobby. I'll go through a few of these. We have a large, open, welcoming lobby, that dedicated point of entry. That lobby also allows people, the reception, to be able to see who's moving upstairs as well. We also have a stage within the facility opening to the double gym to really allow for the flexibility of different events to be hosted here. Lastly, we worked with the city on the financial modeling and to help put together a project budget, not just construction budget, but to understand the project as a whole. The first thing we looked at was soft costs. These can include things like survey, geotechnical, special inspections, construction testing, design fees. Other project costs, things like meter costs, signage, furniture, telecom equipment, and AV and stage equipment and wiring. And then also the hard costs, those construction costs. So the site costs, some site costs that could be anticipated for future expansion, and then building costs. Putting that together, we came to a building construction cost of about 10.6 million and a project total of about 12.4. And again, these are estimated numbers. That is for a 53,000 square foot facility, about 44,500 of that on the ground floor, about 8,500 square feet of that on the second floor. We also broke this financial modeling down into phases. So to help you understand, not all costs are spent at the same time or even within the same year. So we want to show how these costs break down over time and over the phases of the project. So you can see above, and this presentation will be provided to you as well. You can see the costs of those different phases and then the associated general duration of each of those phases as well. And just highlighting some of these in particular. A couple things that we wanted to talk about: procurement. So there are a few different methods of procurement. We could do a standard design bid build is an option, as well as a CM at risk. And there are a few other options as well. A CM at risk may be a good candidate for this project because of the size, the complexity of the project, and it allows you, the way you select a designer, to select a construction manager based on qualifications of that team. What this phasing potentially could do as well is it could allow your project to be shovel ready for when any stimulus money comes along in the future. There are also options for putting together an early site package because there are some pretty significant site improvements on that front portion with grading, with the parking, with stormwater, and with sewer. And also the ability to start the site and schematic design as well in an earlier phase and get that rolling because of the time that it takes to look at some of that from a planning perspective. Oops. And lastly, what I wanted to do is turn it over to Ernie Pages from the Parks and Rec Department first.
Yeah, so like Rachel mentioned, we've been working on this since November. I've been working with them since November, and then we started the process in December. The engagement that we've had has been incredible in terms of the spectrum of age. We've gotten girls as young as girls and boys as young as 6, all the way to senior adults that are active, giving input. So it's been a large spectrum of input that's related to this, and I feel that this particular floor plan and plan that we put together speaks to the future of our department in terms of what we've been successful at doing, especially at the location we've chosen, which is Ivy. So it's a great balance of recreational space in a traditional sense, but also in what we specialize in, which is sports tourism and bringing in large crowds for tournaments and games. So it expands our ability to do that year round with this facility. So with that, I'd like to ask the board to the consideration of adopting the plan. And I'll highlight that saying by saying that it's not asking for the money, but asking for the adoption of the plan so that we can move forward with the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Ernie. Thank you, Rachel. Appreciate your hard work and your presentation. Do any of the aldermen have questions of Rachel or of Ernie?
I've got a couple questions. With the current size of the gymnasium that is going to have the stage, what's the approximate seating capacity, auditorium style, and maybe with tables for meetings? I know the chamber has to take their banquet out of town because of we don't have a venue big enough to hold a banquet. What kind of, and that's seating around tables, what kind of capacities would be in that particular room that has the stage?
That I'll take that, Rachel.
Okay.
That was one of our number one priorities as we went planning in the planning of this facility, was how do we accommodate many of the current needs that we've got. So that double floor, the double gym with the stage can accommodate anywhere between 600 to 1,000. And
Ernie, you broke up.
in a
Yeah, I
seated
couldn't hear the
style formation. And we did that for functions like Chamber of Commerce, was the Senior Richmond Center gatherings to leave town right now. So we did that for that reason. And then the stage, we did the stage for the reason of being able to host Kernersville Little Theater plays, Sister City events that we usually have to ask on because we have enough adequate staging, and plus our programs that we sing. We've got drama kits, we have dance classes, so dance recitals for not only for us, but for all the schools and towns.
And Ernie, those numbers again, because you were breaking up right when you were giving the numbers.
Yeah, so it's for banquet seating is between 600 to 1,000. Depends on how big the tables and so forth. But 600 was our main number to hit.
Okay. And I know with the multiple basketball courts, what size tournament in terms of number of teams could you host on a typical weekend tournament?
Yeah, the courts are NBA sized, and there's a reason why we chose NBA sized courts, and that's because if we played cross court volleyball, there's enough space to do a full size cross court volleyball with space in between the courts. And in the same, I spoke with Brian Robinson, who coaches at Bishop, and that would give us the ability to have 6 cross basketball courts to do some national level tournaments. Maybe not the most prestigious ones because they like full court, but we could still be able to do some tournaments cross court, which is why the second phase is important, because they'll give 6 courts, giving us the ability to do even larger, more impactful tournaments in terms of sports tourism.
Can we get a copy of this proposal? I know you're hoping for us to approve the plan, but I'm seeing it on a small screen. Can we get copies of this perhaps before we vote on a plan?
Yeah, actually, I sent it to Keith to be posted after today's meeting, so that you'd have it and it could be publicly reviewed before you voted on it. What, Thursday?
And I'm assuming when you visited some other facilities, did they visit the Y in Kernersville and First Christian?
No, we had that inventory. Once we wanted to go look at like facilities. So we went to the YMCA in Greensboro at the not Bryan Park.
The Bryan YMCA?
Off of Florida. No, the one off of Florida Street in Greensboro. I can't remember the name of it right now. Say that again, right, Rachel?
Hayes Taylor.
Okay.
Hayes Taylor. And then we went to the new sports facility in Rock Hill, and then we went to the Mebbin's Recreation Center in Mebbin.
And we did host one of our public engagement sessions at First Christian.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Joe.
For the competition basketball court, how much seating is allowed there or is available?
So what we're showing now is approximately 500 seats of built-in seating, and then additional could be provided with movable or with chairs.
Okay, would there be any seating or bleachers, portable bleachers? Is there room enough for that around the other courts?
Yes, there is. We would propose portable because of having the flexibility, or to have the flexibility because the orientation of how you view a basketball game versus a volleyball game is different. So portable bleachers allow you to orient correctly to those different games.
So what would be the capacity around those other courts?
I have not checked the exact numbers, but you would have significant capacity around. We have at least 10 feet deep around each side of those courts.
Okay.
I'd also like to add that with the walking trail suspended above those courts, it would serve like a mezzanine type of seating as well.
Sarah, I have a few questions when you're ready.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Ernie, what is the actual next step once this plan gets approved?
Well, the next steps that I would, it really depends on the board, you guys, is whether or not we want to make the project shovel ready, which is the schematics design and the cost that Rachel broke out on her slide, so that we'd be able to take advantage of any stimulus money that might come through after COVID is under control. So similar to what happened with the recession, to start sparking the economy back in terms of after COVID's over with. So to do that, we need to get the project shovel ready, which is to take care of all the like schematic design, zoning, and so forth.
Okay, with that, and then so if we accept this plan, we're also accepting the budget or the financial modeling, correct?
Correct. Not the money. You're not approving the money to pay for. You're approving the modeling.
Okay. So when it says owner contingency, I'm looking at other project costs not included in construction. You got a 5% total. And I haven't had time to review this, so I'm with Alderman for you, I'd like to have a little more time to review this versus tonight voting on it. But it says 5%, so that's, we're gonna, if we're going over or under up to 500, then I look under the hard cost and it's got contingency at 10%, 163,000. So I'm just a little confused. I know it's two different buckets, I guess you're looking at. But why is one 5% and why is one 10%?
Ernie, I can take that if you want.
Go ahead.
So the 5% contingency is for you. That is for you to hold for the duration of the project. You may never use it. You may choose to use it. You may end up with the 5% at the end of the project and choose to use that money to better enhance the project or the site. The 10% is something that we hold because this project is so early in conceptual. That's something that reduces over time. And over time, as we do cost estimates at each phase of the design, that reduces from 10 to you're at 0 by the time you bid that. So does that help answer your question?
It does. So let's take it to the next question. How much money do you need up front in order to get, like Ernie said, shovel ready? That's got to be held in a contingent account.
Yep. So there's a couple different ways that we can start the process. To be truly shovel ready, where you are ready to break ground, as soon as you have the construction money, you're going to be looking at everything from phase 1, 2, 3, and 4, or really 1, 2, and 3, which is your schematic, your design development, and your construction documents. There is also opportunity to look at just doing the schematic, that top line only, and starting the process, and then approving as we go through the process for those additional phases. So that schematic process is where we start to talk to planning and development, and we start to look at where the stormwater goes, where the sewer comes from, where that goes, and those big picture items, and making sure that we're in coordination with the city as well, with the town as well on that. So there's a few different options moving forward to answer your question.
Okay, well, let's just use phase 1, and I look at the first line, $105,000. How much do you need in contingency, or do you just need the $105,000?
You don't need anything in contingency.
Okay. And then my other question is, and again, I haven't had time to review this. I'm just reading it as we were going through it. It looks like there's design cost of $160,000 or construction administration, it looks like. And then on maybe page 20, it says administration is $183,000. Are those totally different, or are we just adding $23,000 to it?
I'll have to look at the details of that, but I think those are the same. I think what it's doing is it's just combining two numbers from two other locations.
Okay, so it's not an additional. I was afraid it was two different.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'd also like to know where those two came from.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And yeah, I'd just like a little extra time to review it. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you, Ernie. Thank you, Rachel. I really do like the design.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I've got a couple more. Is there a fitness center as part of this? And if there is, what kind of equipment are you likely to have?
There's no fitness component to this at all. The only fitness component we've got is a fitness room that would host like Zumba, yoga.
Okay.
They can also be like a dance space, but there's no fitness component because that's one of the areas that we felt was oversaturated in Kernersville. So there's no point in trying to recreate it. So there's no fitness. There's no gym fitness component to it.
Okay, good. That I wanted to make sure on that. I appreciate you being aware of other facilities. Where does the operational costs come from? Is this a break-even facility? Is this something that will require subsidy from the town budget each year? What kind of revenues, sources do you see, and do you see it as a break even?
Rachel, you want to take that one, or do you want me to take that one?
I'll start it and then you can kind of add
Okay.
on.
All right.
So one of the things that we talked about throughout the process was this concept of sports tourism, which is growing, has been growing and continues to grow. Even throughout COVID, that is one space that is still actually holding events and sports. And that is the tournaments. When we talk about bringing in those volleyball tournaments, those basketball tournaments, what that allows this facility to do is to operate on more of a 24/7 kind of basis. Not true 24/7, you're not operating in the evenings, but really you're serving your community the most Monday through Friday. And then you're opening the facility up for rentable space for hosting these tournaments, for hosting larger events on the weekends when it's less used by the community. This facility does have enough space to be able to have those dual uses throughout the day, throughout the same time. We've kind of zoned it a little bit so you can have community use at the same time that you're having tournament use. I understand the city currently does rent a facility within the town of Kernersville and does pay leasing rental fees on that as well. Ernie, I don't know if you want to go into some additional details.
Yeah. So as Rachel pointed out, the sports tourism side of it, the ability to do more sports tourism on that end means we put more heads in beds, which then impacts your occupancy tax dollars at the end, which is one of the main goals. Now, on top of that, operationally, I've created a cost recovery model, taking into account direct costs, indirect costs, associated costs for everything. We price our programs based on those things to try to recover costs at 100%, to minimize subsidies. Of course, it's not 100%. It's difficult to do 100% given that we're a government agency and not a private industries type of thing. But the whole goal is to recover costs as much as possible. Yes, upfront, direct, straight, you probably subsidize some of it, but then the goal is to offset that with increased occupancy tax dollars that come in through the sports tourism. So that's the whole kind of reason why it's a sports tourism focused facility.
Any guess on what it would take subsidy in those first 5 years of operation?
Right now, I mean, probably similar to what we're spending in rent right now in terms of the facility we're at, right around, because I don't foresee having a large increase in staff numbers. I don't foresee everything we're doing moves over, so the revenue move over as well. Maybe we'll do more revenue. So 105, 115,000, I think, is what it'll take to operate it. But then the increase in revenue, it's tough to forecast what the revenue increase would be because of higher capacity to do more programming. So it's a difficult question to answer.
From my standpoint, I would love to see a sample operating budget based for maybe the first year or two, based on what you think it would be for utilities and that kind of thing, and program revenue, just to sort of get a feel for what it's gonna cost the town in subsidy while you're getting your feet on the ground. And maybe you've got something like that, perhaps, but that would give me some comfort because I know what it takes to run a facility, and it takes more than people realize.
Right. I can work on something and put something together, an estimate on what it'll take. I can tell you in terms of the rental space, a tournament rental space, it won't take 2 years to get that completely booked out. We could open it.
Yeah, I think you'll get that fairly quickly going.
Yeah. So just based on numbers that we've seen in terms of sports rental facilities, say Rock Hill, they booked 2 years in the head advance, still trying to stop 3 years out. So they've booked it out quick. Now the programming one is going to be the more of a, I'd have to figure that one out a little bit, but I can put something together.
Yeah, and definitely show that tourism revenue as an item that we can see, because if we're banking on that to try and break even, that's the amount that we're at risk from the town budget if that's what it takes to balance our books.
Okay.
And one other question that I thought of so far, your current lease on the current facility on Bodenhammer, is that a year to year, or when is that up for renewal, so that we don't get stuck with at some point in time paying on that while we move into something new?
I want to say that we are in a I think we signed an extension that was one term for 3 years and then 3 1-year extensions. I think that's where we're at. I'll have to double check, but we just signed a new lease, but it doesn't have the same length as the previous.
That would be helpful.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ernie. That would be helpful for us to know, because it may take a couple of years, even if we did approve it soon. It may take a couple of years before something is open. But again, we don't want to pay for a whole year of not using a facility when perhaps we've moved into something new.
Right. Yeah.
That would help us in timing.
Yeah, I can pull that and send that a copy of that contract out, or the agreement.
Or just tell us the number. I don't need to see the contract.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
And I just have 2 more questions if you're done, Alderman Boyer.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Ernie, so when you're talking about the facility you're in now, go ahead and let us know what programs are being used over there on North Main, because this is a great recreational center, but it's moving away from North Main. So I worry about the citizens. I worry about the children over there. So I'm not sure that we want to totally shut it down quickly if we can offer services to that side of Kernersville that kind of gets left out sometimes. So I don't want to make sure that we've got parks and availability to play basketball at different areas. Also, I sent you a little text. I think you will also be able to do pickleball, snapback.
Yeah. We will be able to.
On the court.
Yeah. So the big question with the pickleball was our current facility is a sports court tile, and there's dead spots. So when you're playing pickleball, you hit a dead spot. That's it. The ball doesn't bounce. So the players don't like that. With this facility, they'll be able to play indoor pickleball. It won't have any dead spots.
Yeah, because that's a really fast-growing sport. And then I just want to clarify, to be shovel-ready, and you probably already answered this, Rachel or Ernie, and I apologize. How many phases do we need? 1, 2, 3, and 4, or just 1 and 2? I'm looking at the financial modeling.
Yeah, so we are looking at 3 to 4, and it depends. The bidding procurement depends a little bit on your method of procurement. If you choose to do a design bid build, then it does not include that to be shovel ready. If you choose to have a CM at risk on board and get a CM at risk on board, and we have recently helped another town with that process on a Parks and Recreation facility, and that's a qualifications-based process. Then I would recommend doing that onboarding probably during the design development phase or around that.
So you did say 1 through 4, right?
1 through 3 or 1 through 4, depending on method of procurement.
So $500,000 roughly, or probably about 600,000. Oh yeah, 650 if I'm looking at 675. Is that about right? Okay, perfect. That's all I have. Thank you so much.
I just have a
Go ahead.
just a comment. I think y'all have done a wonderful job putting this together. I know you put many long hours in it and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, days and nights. But, and I know it's a lot of money, but to have something like this in Kernersville would be one of the greatest things that I think we've ever done in Kernersville. I know I've read a lot about Rock Hill. I know that they're a sports destination for really the whole East Coast, probably all over the country now. Mebbane's becoming the same way. With a facility like this and the way you moved it up to the front to showcase it in the front makes all the difference in the world. I love it. Congratulations.
Thank you. We think it's a really great facility for a town this size to really, the programs that Ernie is doing out of the current facility are just astounding. I wish I lived in Kernersville so I could participate in so many of those. They've been even doing some, prior to COVID, even some STEM cooking and things like that. So just really an opportunity to open up the programs available to your community.
I think so too, and you're right, Ernie's done a wonderful job.
Thank you.
That's all, Mayor.
Alderman Cruz, do you have any questions or comments?
Is the second floor gonna have an elevator up to the walk-in? A lot of older folks. Oh, and I was concerned about that.
This evening. It has been a long planning process, and one of the aldermen is not here tonight. And I think I'll ask Mr. Wolf about this, that one of the aldermen is not here tonight, and so was not planning to vote on any of the public hearing items. But is this something that if he had a chance to get up to speed and review the plan, talk to Rachel if he'd like to, talk to Ernie about it, that Chris Thompson would be able to vote on this if he is able to come to the continued meeting?
Yes, he would be able to, because he would have the opportunity of asking questions, of coming up to speed with minutes from this meeting and so forth. So he could, and not speaking for Chris, but I think that he would appreciate being able to do that.
Thank you. This has been a long planning process, as Ernie and Rachel have reminded us of, and there's been many interim meetings that Chris could well have been involved in. I would like to ask if there's anyone present in the courtroom who has come in, or anyone who has called in who would like to speak to this public session item.
There is no one in the courtroom.
No one on the phone either.
Thank you. Alderman Boyer?
I really need to see those budget operational figures and then talk to Curtis about whatever subsidy it looks like it will take in those earliest years. I'm not going to be ready to vote on Thursday night in our continued meeting. I think we need a little bit more time to digest the information. And again, I'm looking at Rachel's presentation on a very small screen, so it was very hard for me to read the numbers. So I don't want to vote on it this month.
Would it work then? There's an effort to position this project for shovel ready, and for the opportunity for grants. Would it work to consider it then at the next briefing meeting? That would be a little bit sooner than our next regular public meeting, and it could be listed as an item on the agenda.
I think it's such a big ticket item. It should be at a regular meeting. I don't think we should push it off to a briefing meeting, because we may get public coming in saying, you know, I don't think we can afford it right now. I really would like to give the public a chance to say something about this, and we will probably also have many people that will encourage us to do it. But briefing meeting being only 6 days before the next public meeting, I would rather not push it ahead that much.
Do I have a motion by the board then?
I would make a motion that we bring it up for a vote at the November meeting.
Okay, and what additional presentation items would you like provided prior to that time?
I'd like to see an operational budget for what it will take to, and perhaps 2 years of operational budgets. They might not be that much different, but I think it will take a little time for it to get its feet on the ground. Because I want to see the revenue sources, whether it's membership or user fees or a combination of that. I'd also like to be reminded, although I could look it up on our budget, as to what we're currently paying for our current facility, and when that particular term is up for the contract that we have with them.
Okay, Mr. Hooker, could you remind us as to when the date of the November meeting is?
Madam Mayor, that is November 4th. It's the day after Election Day.
So Wednesday, November 4th. Okay. All right, I have a motion by Alderman Boyer. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Mayor Pro Tem Fulton. I'll do a roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem, how do you vote?
In favor, thank you.
Alderman Penix?
In favor.
Thank you. Alderman Cruz?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Boyer?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other items regarding this plan or the financial plan for it that any alderman would like for Rachel and Ernie to pull together in advance of the next meeting? In the interest of having the public have access to this, could we add it as a add something about this to our website? I think there was already a tab about it or a button on our website, but with more details about the plan in the meantime, since the agenda is usually just consulted immediately prior to the meeting by people. Ernie, do you think you could put something together that could be put on the website?
Yeah, I could put a tab on our Parks and Rec tab that has the rec center plan on there. I don't think we have got access to the overall page. I can send it to Keith or Adam to get that taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever you.
Or a link, maybe, Adam, if there's a button on the main toknc.com page that would redirect to the Parks and Rec page, would be okay as well.
Yeah, we can do something like that.
Okay, super.
Real quick, Ernie, have you already shared this on Parks and Rec's Facebook page?
No, we have not. I have not shared the plan because I don't want to put it out there as anything public without the board seeing it first.
Okay, so maybe that's something you want.
I can do it tomorrow.
Well, that's fine. Just whenever it works for you.
Yeah, I didn't want to get ahead of you guys.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? All right, well, I appreciate everybody's presentation. I think we've been going now for an hour and 22 minutes, so perhaps it would be a good time to take a brief recess. Let us reconvene at, it's about 8:22, 8:23 right now. Let's reconvene in 10 minutes. Welcome back to the regular meeting of the Kernersville Board of Aldermen after our brief recess. We are on public session item 2C, which is a presentation by the Kernersville Chamber of Commerce regarding the 2020 downtown trick-or-treat event and the 2020 Kernersville Christmas Parade. We appreciate the Chamber of Commerce working with our community to coordinate these two wonderful community events every year. And this year we're trying to continue the tradition, but with a twist in light of the current situation. So here to give a presentation is Molly Smith and Chris Comer of the Kernersville Chamber of Commerce. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having us. We were asked to talk a little bit more about the downtown trick or treat. So we've been working very closely with Parks and Rec and the police department, and they've just been awesome in helping us figure out the new logistics. So we do have a new route for this than what's been done in years past that will allow social distancing, but also a safe reverse trick or treat. We have a video, Jeff, if you wouldn't mind sharing that.
I'm Katie Ray with Kernersville Parks and Recreation, and I'm Molly Smith with the Kernersville Chamber of Commerce, and we're here to tell you about this year's downtown drive-through trick-or-treat happening on Halloween night. That's right, Saturday, October 31st from 6 to 9, we're going to be celebrating Halloween. So we're going to drive you through the route today so you'll know everything you need to know when you come that night. Are you ready? I'm ready. Let's go! We're starting at Lowe's Food. This is like really the best direction to start from to get you on to South Main because the entrance to the route will be on South Main. So this is where we're starting today to show you the best direction to come from. So we are entering from the roundabout. However, if you're staying straight on Main Street, that's awesome. Just make sure that as we're turning left right now, stay in that far right lane so that you don't accidentally get into the turn lane that leads you to Cherry Street. So we're traveling down South Main currently. The actual road closure, so where the road closed signs will be close to Harmon Lane. So that night, if you're planning on coming to the event, you know, that's where the official entrance will take place. If you're not coming to the event that night and wanting to know how you're going to navigate this area during the 6 to 9 event time, just know that along South Main, the roads won't officially be closed into downtown until about Harmon Lane, or Harmon Park. Yep, so if you're traveling down Main Street and the Kerner's Folly is on your right, you are going in the right direction. So now we are passing the Pier Botanical Gardens. On your left is Harmon Park. Our park and maintenance staff will be decorating that, so be sure to drive slow and look at all the free decorations during that time. Yes, and downtown businesses and other vendors will be lined up on South Main Street. They'll have tables. Make sure that your windows are down so that they can give you candy. They are so excited to show you downtown Kernersville. They'll be dressed up, so make sure that you're dressed up too. They would love to see you and kind of get to know our downtown businesses a little bit better. So we're at the stoplight right now, about to make our first turn of the route, which is on East Mountain Street. There will be volunteers helping you navigate this route as well. We just thought it would be a cool thing to show you and give you a heads up of what to expect for that night. As far as the vendors lining the streets goes, we do expect it to be a kind of stop and go situation, so you will be able to stop and get candy. So it won't be a quick drive through. We do anticipate a slow crawl through the route. Yes, so we are turning right onto East Mountain Street. So we are passing Hagen All Things Yummy on the left. On East Mountain Street, this is new this year. We're going to have vendors from outside businesses coming in to help give out candy. They're so excited to see you. And right now, Katie is turning left onto Beard Street. So the second turn will be a left onto Beard Street. Some people know it as Railroad Street. And we will have vendors on this road as well, right, Molly?
Absolutely. So all of this will be lined up with vendors. Something else that we thought would be important is just to introduce a lot of new businesses to help pass out this candy. So make sure that you are decorated, you've got costumes on. If you want to decorate your car, we're going to talk a little bit about that. But all of this is going to be showcased throughout downtown trick-or-treating.
And speaking of candy, we definitely need lots of it for the Whitney's Day. So if anyone's interested in helping us with the candy or would like to donate or be a candy sponsor, please reach out to Molly at the chamber so we can make sure that these kids have a best and safe Halloween.
Absolutely. You'll see Katie and I throughout the night restocking all of the businesses' candy supplies so that hopefully there is no shortage. So we are at the intersection of Railroad and Main Street. So we're kind of right next to the factory, and now we're turning left onto Main Street.
And so again, this will be one way, so there won't be cars coming from both directions. So you won't have to worry about any other traffic coming at you. You'll be the only car in this direction, getting candy from the businesses and members. We also will be decorating Founders Park for the first time this year. So be sure to take a moment and look up to your right at the new Founders Park to see what they come up with this year for those decorations.
Absolutely. And as a reminder, all of this will be filled with businesses. Katie is now turning right onto West Mountain Street where the Kernersville Museum and some of our favorite shops are. We'll also be doing a car decorating contest this year. So make sure that you present your best costume idea so that our judges will have some pretty tough competition. So at the end of the route, you'll be exiting onto Cherry Street, or you can continue straight. Thank you guys so much for being patient throughout this process. We think that it will be a really great opportunity for you and your family, and we hope that you guys have a happy and safe Halloween.
So that's a wrap for our drive-through trick-or-treat route training. We hope you have a better idea of how that night will go, and we hope to see you there.
And remember, we want this to be a memorable experience for these kids. So if you're interested in donating candy, please drop that off at the Kernersville Chamber of Commerce, and feel free to give us a call or send us an email if you have any additional questions.
And just a reminder, there will be traffic this night. So if you plan on coming to the event, be patient. And if you're not coming to the event, just try to avoid the area between 6 to 9 so that everyone has a happy and safe Halloween.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So this video we will be posting on social media just to communicate as much as possible because it does look so different this year. Are there any questions?
I think it's very creative attempt.
Thanks, Bruce.
I think one quick question, and I think Chris and Molly and Curtis and I talked about it. So the one will be affected will be Giada's, but Mays Vintage should be okay, and the Prescott for dinner, correct?
The Prescott can enter from Cherry Street, and Mays Vintage Kitchen would enter from Harmon.
Yeah, so they'll be able to turn before it closes.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. Good job, ladies.
And I'm going to turn it over to Chris for the Christmas parade.
Thank you all. We wanted to share what the idea is for the Christmas parade in light of the request for closing the streets for the Christmas parade. We are requesting that the streets are closed just as normal. We would love to go with Plan A, which is a regular parade. However, where we are with the current requirements, we have to go with Plan B, which is a reverse Christmas parade, which means the floats are stationary on the right side of the road, and those that are watching the parade drive through. Jeff, if you can show the map. So as you can see, the two words traffic are on Cherry Street. And the entry to the parade is right at Pierce Jefferson on West Mountain. And then they travel to the elementary school, leaving Oakhurst open for through traffic. This would be our plan B, and we expect that we would have folks out and enjoying the Christmas season with this parade. We would have to make a decision to reverse that to plan A by the week of October 25th, if we were allowed to do that. That's all I have.
Thank you for the presentation. Does anyone have any questions of Molly or Chris? Are there any comments?
I have a comment. I think it's very imaginative that you gals have come up with this with all the hardship we've been going through, and you're keeping a good imagination to come up with new things that keep the town vibrant, and I appreciate it. I think it's good. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments? Bruce, you have your microphone on.
No comments. I also appreciate the effort.
I appreciate the efforts that you have made, Chris, your entire staff, and the volunteers with the Chamber of Commerce. We appreciate your efforts in this community, and also the Kernersville Chamber of Commerce's efforts to work with the chambers and the county on distribution of PPE supplies. If you have a minute, is there more update that maybe local businesses or the aldermen would like to hear about where that stands? Is there another distribution day scheduled?
Sure. So far we have been able to provide 93 of our businesses with free PPE protective equipment. And the commissioners were very gracious in making sure that there was money to give out free PPE. So we're very thankful to our Forsyth County commissioners, and there is a little bit more money left. So stay tuned as to how that money will be distributed through the PPE materials.
Thank you. All right, is there anything further on this item, or should we move on? All right, thank you, ladies. All right, we are to item D, which is a preliminary subdivision review on Gordon Street. Ronnie Roberts, agent for owner for property located at 621 Gordon Street, containing a total of 2.45 plus or minus acres. Petitioner is requesting a 5-lot subdivision with a density of 2 lots per acre for property currently zoned IP, institution, public. Mr. Hatling?
Thank you, Mayor Morgan. As described, this is a preliminary subdivision review off Gordon Street, right off the intersection of Gordon and Branchwood. Property is currently zoned institutional public. Is 2.5 acres. Number of lots is 5 lots, which is a density of 2 units per acre. The purpose of the review, the town of Kernersville preliminary subdivision review process intends to determine compliance with the town's adopted subdivision ordinance. The proposed subdivision is located within an IP zoning district, which allows a minimum lot size of 10,000 square feet. The property owner is allowed to subdivide their property to the minimum lot size as long as they comply with the subdivision ordinance. Regarding the watershed and stormwater, the proposal is to develop 2 lots per acre and will not require a stormwater control device. The stormwater will sheet flow towards Oakhurst Street and Lake Drive. Regarding public infrastructure, which is typically the primary thing we review during a subdivision, The site will be accessed off Gordon Street. All lots will have individual driveway cuts. There'll be no new infrastructure. The water and sewer is located in Gordon Street. Regarding zoning compliance, proposed lots conform to the Unified Development Ordinance, IP zoning district, and width of area exceeding 65-foot lot width and exceeding 10,000 square foot lot size. Recommendation based on the finding of fact that the proposed preliminary subdivision conforms to the town of Kernersville subdivision ordinance. Planning board and staff recommends approval with the following conditions. If a mail kiosk is required by U.S. Postal Service, it shall be maintained by the property owners. The preliminary subdivision plan is shown in Exhibit A and presented in the planning board report. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions?
Jeff, the runoff, does that go into a sewer or storm drain, or is this a swale kind of runoff?
Yeah, these lots are very deep and the lots behind are very deep. And so basically just sheet flow, meaning there would be no stormwater culverts and so forth. And sheet flow is your preferred method. That's a slower rate of runoff. And so it's very level lot. You can kind of see if you're familiar with the First Presbyterian Church, how flat that is. So it's fairly flat. And so, and the lots are averaging half acre, 2 lots per acre. So there will be a minimal stormwater impact.
Yeah, I've driven by that area. So was this part of First Presbyterian Church's property at one point, or?
Yes, correct. They put it on the market, and it was basically marketed to allow for that 2 units per acre, and subdivide right off Gordon Street to minimize any infrastructure costs or stormwater impacts.
And one of the public comments was concern for wildlife, like deer and that kind of thing. Where would they go if these lots were cleared and developed?
Since I walked Branchwood for the past 23 years, I am an expert on the wildlife.
Okay.
But basically, I can't guarantee it, but most likely with these lots being so deep and the cost of clearing them and so forth, my guess is a lot of these lots 1 through 5 will remain somewhat wooded. There is a wooded ravine running from these lots between Gordon Street, eventually Branchwood Street, heading down towards Kernersville Lake. And so that's where most of your deer habitat is that ravine area between Lake and Branchwood and Gordon. And you probably continue to see that migration of deer. And of course, as everybody's familiar with that area, there is a lot of scattered woodlands. And I walk virtually every morning, and as every morning you see deer out grazing in people's yards. So.
Okay, thank you.
Jeff, the driveways will all come onto Gordon, so wouldn't they have mailboxes at the end of those driveways?
The United Postal Service has new rules now, and so it was not clear yet if they'll allow for individual mailboxes or if they'll require one 5-box kiosk. So if there's a 5-box kiosk, the property owners would be responsible to maintain that.
Okay, and if I'm looking at the map correctly, you've got one driveway that'll come out or could come out directly in front of Branchwood Drive. So Gordon doesn't have a stop sign right there, but Branchwood does, correct?
Correct. Gordon has no stop sign. Coming up the hill from Branchwood at Gordon, there is a stop sign.
Yeah, I just worry about that one person coming out of that driveway. But I have that too now on Oakhurst, so I get it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Is there anyone in the courtroom or that has called in to speak to this public session item?
There is no one in the courtroom.
No one on the phone, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. This is a preliminary subdivision review, so it is not a public hearing. So the board can vote on it this evening. Is there further questions, discussions, or are you ready for a motion?
I move approval.
A motion by Alderman Joe Penix,
I'll second it.
second by Alderman Kenny Cruz. Since this is a remote meeting, we will do a roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem Fulton?
In
How do you
favor,
vote?
thank you.
Alderman Penix, how do you vote?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Cruz, how do you vote?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Boyer, how do you vote?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. All right, anything further on this item, or are we ready to move on? Okay. The next item is item E, second reading and consideration of the taxi franchise ordinance renewal for Oak Ridge Cab operated by John H. Pegram.
Madam Mayor, this is, as it says, the second reading. Taxi franchises require 2 readings, and this is a second. This is for a 3-year renewal, with 3-year renewal terms after that, if the board desires. It is for Oak Ridge Taxi. He has been the sole taxi provider now for probably 5 years or so. Does a good job. Staff is recommending approval of the franchise.
Okay, any questions, or do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
Okay, I've got a motion by Kenny Cruz. Do I
Second.
have a second? Second by Mayor Pro Tem Fulton. All right. This is a roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem Fulton, how do you vote?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Penix.
In favor, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Cruz.
In favor, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Boyer.
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are to item F, consideration of a resolution declaring service weapon and badge of Officer Russ surplus and authorizing disposal. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Alderman Kenny Cruz.
I'll second.
Second. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
The delay got you. Second by Alderman Bruce Boyer. Mayor Pro Tem Fulton, how do you vote?
I'd like to say in favor and also thank you to Officer Russ. He's been really good to me and my girls and a lot of people in Kernersville. So thank you for your service.
Alderman Penix.
I agree with that. I'm in favor and thank you for your service.
Alderman Cruz.
I agree also and thank him for his service. Thank you.
Alderman Boyer.
I'll make it unanimously thanking him for service and agreeing with the motion.
Thank you. And this motion allows us to present as a town the badge and the service sidearm to Officer Russ, and we do appreciate his longtime service to the town of Kernersville. All right, we will continue on to item G, discussion and consideration of continued live streaming of town meetings. Mr. Swisher?
Madam Mayor, I've been asked by the board to look into the what it would take to live stream meetings after we stop meeting on GoToMeeting. So we've looked into that. We can, there's 2 or 3 different ways to do that. We could do it simply with a telephone and live stream it on YouTube or on Facebook. I think the board in the past has chosen to do YouTube, but we could do that with a telephone and live stream it. You would not get very good quality, and it would just be a cheap production, so to speak. Would have all kinds of problems. So we looked into what it would take to live stream the meetings onto YouTube or any other media outlet the board chooses. To do that, we would need several cameras. It looks about like 7 cameras, a converter, HDMI converter, and some other equipment. The total price on doing that is right at $12,479. That would allow us, of course, to live stream any meeting that is held here in the courtroom. I will tell you that that's the cost for the equipment. Once you live stream meetings, if it's something other than the Board of Aldermen meeting, we would have to have staff here to run that to make sure that it's live streamed, because it's basically we would be producing a live production, so to speak, to live stream that out. So we would have staff time involved for any meeting other than the board meeting. At the board meetings, Adam Hutchins is here, so that would not involve any other staff time outside of what he is here already for. I was also asked to look into the number of views that we've had on our meetings thus far. So we went back to June of this year to look at the number of views. Got 2 different numbers. The first number I will give you is the number of people that were watching the meeting live when it was taking place. And then I'll tell you how many actually went back and have viewed it just one time, basically. So our June the 2nd board meeting, we had right at 30 people watching the meeting live. At one point in time, the highest peak was 30. Our June 30th board meeting, which is the one with the rezoning case at the intersection of Shields Road and Union Cross Road, had 88 people at the peak watch that meeting live. The August 5th meeting had 14 people watch it live, was the peak. And then the September 1st meeting, we had 17 people watching it at the peak. The advantage to, of course, to having it live stream or to video in it, whichever way, is that you can go back, individuals can go back and watch that meeting. We've had the most views, unique views, which was individuals that viewed it one time, was the June 30th meeting, had 130 unique views. The June 2nd meeting had 63. August 5th meeting had 59, and the September 1st meeting had 55. So, we have somewhere around the average of about, I think the average is about 20, 25 people, maybe somewhere in there watching it live, those 4 meetings when you average out. And then, of course, we have more people go back and view that. Again, the highest viewed meeting was the one with the rezoning case, and it had 88 people watching at one time. What we've seen with the meetings that have been live streamed on YouTube is pretty much what we've seen with the meetings in the courtroom when we were not live streaming on the YouTube. The meetings that have the most attendance are the zoning cases. If it's a controversial rezoning, then we'll have a lot of people in the courtroom. That carried over, it's a controversial rezoning. We have more people watch it on YouTube. So that's where we are. If the board chooses to do that, we can order the equipment needed and probably have that installed by the end of the year, just depending on whether the equipment is in stock or not. So I'll be glad to answer any questions. Adam Hutchins is also online. He can answer any questions as well that you may have.
Mayor? Okay, thank you. Curtis, thank you for doing that. You know, I'm a very big advocate that people go back and be able to watch it, even if they can't watch it live. And I think with the unknown and the craziness of 2020, we don't know what the future holds. And I think we should bring our technology up to speed and have cameras in here. I think we strive really hard to make sure everybody is equipped throughout Kernersville, and I think it's important that the citizens be able to watch us from the convenience of their own home or have the flexibility to come into town hall. So I'm totally in favor, and I think $12,000 is a lot of money, but I think it's money well spent, not knowing the future. So thank you. That's my 2 cents.
Is there any cost saving, Curtis, if it was in terms of equipment, if the meeting was taped and published, but not needing 7 cameras?
The cost savings is in the equipment you use to do that. If you want to video that meeting in the same manner that we're recommending with equipment, then there would not be any cost savings. You would still need the same equipment to video that meeting and record it, whether you just record it and play it later or whether you record it live. So because you still have to convert it over to a format that is, you know, that you can at some point play on YouTube or any of the other social media outlets. So I don't think there's any true cost savings to recording it and just playing it at a later date.
Okay.
Now the cost savings comes in the method I think that you would use to video it and record it.
My overall concern is we're in a budget year where every department was told that there's very little equipment purchases that were going to be allowed in the budget year that we're currently in. And I hate to jump over town employees and purchase equipment when people could have come into the courtroom. And so I'm not particularly at this point in time in favor of the outlay of equipment costs. And then of course, eventually staff costs.
So do you need a motion, Mayor?
Let me ask Joe, do you have any comments at this time?
My only concern would be, of course, the money and the number of people that have actually watched the meeting live. When you disregard all of the town employees and, for instance, Chamber of Commerce people that we know have been watching it, except for that one meeting, there hasn't been that much interest. So right now in this budget year, I would have concerns spending that money.
Kenny, do you have any comments?
I'm just not a computer man myself, but spending the money, I think it's nice for people to see and for them to be aware of what's going on. But when they're live here with us, they can see where we're coming from and what we have to contend with. And they really see that we're here to do the best we can with what money we're spending for the town. So, you know, I don't want to turn our meetings into a circus. If people want to come so they can see what's going on and they can be a part of it, the door's open. So I just don't know whether the money really benefits us that much or not either.
Well, with that, I have a
discussion?
quick question, Mayor. I respect all the aldermen's opinions, and I can see that this is a tough budget year. So maybe we look at, see what it would cost to get it in next year's budget. I'm okay with that. Again, we don't know the future. We don't know the rezoning cases that we're going to hear. And when we do have a high topic, people show up and they did watch. So with that, Mayor, when do you think we'll go back into live meetings so then people can come? I'm just curious.
Currently, we're still under the state of emergency with the state. I have been working with Forsyth County officials. Curtis and I are serving on a committee for Reopen Forsyth County. There's a lot of health advice about safety measures and that sort of thing. I do have a concern immediately for next month. We have a number of public hearings, so we could easily exceed the allowed capacity in the courtroom as far as a live meeting. So I think that the November meeting will be a remote meeting as well. But we're constantly reevaluating that.
So with phase 3, did we not increase our number inside or no? It's
No, it didn't.
25, I guess.
Yes.
There's not an actual capacity limit on governing body meetings.
Say that again, Curtis, please.
There is not an actual limit of the number of people that can attend a meeting of a governing body.
So if we're wearing our mask and we're keeping social distancing, then we would be in good shape.
That is my understanding. Now, as you may have to observe the social distance guidelines of 6 feet, which would limit the number we can have in the courtroom. But if our courtroom was large enough to hold 200 people separated 6 foot apart, we could have 200 people indoor at the Board of Aldermen meeting. We're not restricted by the indoor capacity limit of whatever it is now, 25. That's what restricts us more so than anything else is the 6 foot social distancing.
Okay, so, well, again, I'm okay with budget. I know we did just spend $350,000 for other things that we had to handle, and I was really in favor. So I'm okay with moving this to next year's budget, but I do, again, think it is a very important move, especially with technology. People get things right off their phones. We can get things off our watch. We want to stay current as much as possible and show transparency as much as possible, and being able to live stream our meetings like the county commissioners, like the Village of Clemens, Louisville. I think we are in a position. So I'm okay, Mayor, wait until next budget for this item. But if that's the case, I would encourage, since we're in phase 3 and we don't have a restriction, that you may reconsider our in-person meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. So the item is on the agenda as discussion and consideration of continued live streaming of town meetings. So it's really as to the cameras and the purchase has been presented to the board. So should we take a vote on this as far as tonight? Do I have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I don't know that it's necessary to vote on it tonight with the same discussion. I mean, if they choose not to vote on it tonight, I think that's fine.
Okay, because we have it as discussion and consideration. So I want to make sure staff has clear guidance.
I think staff has pretty clear guidance.
Okay. All right, moving on then to item H, consideration of a lease agreement with Crisis Control and the Shepherd Center.
This is for the building on Bodenhammer Street that is currently occupied by the Crisis Control and the Shepherd Center. We currently have a lease with them. This is for renewal of that lease for 1 year. It is basically the same terms as the lease that they're currently under. The only change is that we did clarify that they shall be responsible for all repairs to HVAC, plumbing, and electrical wiring, up to $515 per occurrence. The lease that they're under just said up to $500. So there were some different ideas on that. They thought that once they spent $500 for the whole year, they were not responsible for anything else beyond that. And it was, when we drafted the lease, it was intended to be $500 per occurrence at that point. So we just went this year with it the way it was, and we corrected it or made it more clear rather in the current lease that we will be presenting to them. Everything else remains the same. It'll be a 1-year lease. Ends on September of 2021.
Okay. Any further questions or discussions, or do I have a motion?
I think that's a good clarification, and I'll make a motion that we approve the lease as presented.
Okay, I have a motion by Bruce Boyer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Penix. Mayor Pro Tem Fulton, how do you vote?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Penix, how do you vote?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Cruz, how do you vote?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Boyer, how do you vote?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next item is I, consideration of an ordinance for budget amendment 2 for fiscal year 2020-2021.
Now the budget amendment in front of you, I'll cover the expenditures. The biggest amendment for expenditures is in the Recreation Department, $356,800. Majority of that, $350,000, is for the purchase of the Beeson Road property that the board approved last month. The other one, we have $58,000 to fund the Old Salem Road Tig Lane intersection. There is $46,400 in revenue to offset the majority of that. We also have $24,500 to fund right-of-way acquisitions for the Brookford Road Sewer Project. That will also be reimbursed to the town from our water sewer fund at some point. We have $25,000 to fund the traffic signal design and the architectural design agreement with the Beeson's Fire Department, which was approved last month. And then $9,500 to fund the professional and contracted services that are associated with the demolition of the Abbott's Creek wastewater treatment plant. We do have $9,500 in revenue to offset that cost. So pretty short budget amendment, but we wanted to get that in mainly for the design of the Beeson Fire Department and the purchase of the Beeson Road property. Be glad to answer any questions.
I have a quick question, Mayor. Curtis, can you just confirm the purchase on the Beeson Road, the $350,000? Where's that money coming from?
That money will come from the general fund at this time.
Okay, so we're going to take $350,000 out of the general fund.
Yes, ma'am.
And what will be the balance of the general fund?
I haven't looked at the balance lately, but it will probably be somewhere around 7 or 8 million, roughly.
Okay, 7 or 8 million. All right. We were concerned about 12,000. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions about item I? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Mayor.
Okay, motion by Mayor Pro Tem Jenny Fulton.
I'll second her motion.
Second by Bruce Boyer. And it again will be a roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem Fulton.
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Penix.
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Cruz.
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Boyer.
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are to the consent agenda. All of the following matters are considered to be routine by the Board of Aldermen and will be enacted by one motion with no separate discussion unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the matter will be removed from the consent agenda and considered under the following item. A, approval of minutes for the July 29 closed session. B, approval of minutes for the August 5 closed session. C, approval of minutes for the August 26 briefing meeting. D, approval of minutes for the September 1 regular meeting. And E, consideration of an ordinance for temporary road closings for the Christmas parade. Would there be any board member who would like to see any of these items removed from the consent agenda? John, Curtis, any of our staff? How about anyone who's in attendance in the courtroom or on the phone line?
There's no one here wants anything removed.
Okay, Adam?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, do I have a motion on the consent agenda
So moved.
for approval?
Yes.
Okay, motion by Bruce for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Penix. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Fulton, how do you vote?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Penix.
In favor, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Cruz.
In favor, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Boyer.
In favor. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we are near the end of the agenda, everyone. We are to items removed from the consent agenda, which were none. Speakers from the floor. Curtis, is there anyone who signed up to speak?
No, ma'am.
Adam, is anyone signed up to speak? That's a call-in.
No, ma'am.
Thank you. We have the town manager's report. Mr. Swisher.
I have nothing, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We have matters to be presented by the town attorney. Mr. Wolf.
Madam Mayor, I don't have anything tonight.
Thank
Nothing
you.
further.
Thank you. Matters to be presented by the mayor and board of aldermen. Mayor Pro Tem Fulton, have you got anything to present?
Not at this time, Mayor, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Penix.
No, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Kenny Cruz.
No, thank you.
Alderman Boyer.
I have nothing to present. Thank you.
I'd like to take a moment and compliment the Kernersville Museum and the individuals involved in the construction project to revitalize the historic buildings. And again, to Alderman Penix for helping to get that project started to move those buildings. The dedication was held and it is a wonderful project. And one of the things that's special in Kernersville is some of the outdoor activities we have. And there is a great park, Founders Park, and people like to walk their dogs in the downtown and go by Founders Park. And you often see our canine friends looking at the koi pond and observing the fish in there. And the buildings at the museum are another outdoor exhibit, if they're not entered into, that you can walk around with your pets, and people have very much enjoyed doing that in downtown Kernersville. So it's a nice addition to a walking tour that you can have in Kernersville at any time in nice weather. So we appreciate everybody involved to make that project happen. And I wanted to put a shout out in for another favorite community tradition, the Oktoberfest at the Folly, of course, has been really well advertised, but another that is coming up is the chicken stew at the museum. And I believe this will be, John, will this be the third year?
This will be the fourth year. Yeah, this will be the fourth year.
The fourth year, and there is a drive-up chicken stew for people to enjoy. So appreciate everyone's support of the downtown merchants that continues and downtown activities as we work to keep Kernersville safe and to have fun as a community. So thank you everyone for a good meeting. We will be continuing this meeting until Thursday, but is there anything else that we need to address this evening?
No, Mayor, I just want to let you know I'll be here Thursday with the Girl Scouts.
Oh, fantastic.
With you, because we're going to be at Town Hall, correct? At 6.
Yes.
Okay. I look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
All right, so do I have a motion to continue?
So moved.
Okay. Got a motion by Bruce Boyer. Do I have a second?
I'll second it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Fulton, how do you vote?
In favor. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Alderman Penix?
In favor, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Cruz.
In favor, thank you.
Alderman Boyer.
In favor, thank you.
Thank you. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, everybody.